Mhm.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Key to Success podcast, where I'm your host, taraelkee, and I'm here with another amazing guest. I have an American School Counselor of the Year. I have Brian Coleman here. One of the most incredible people that I have ever met or worked with. Man, like he is so important, like to our board, and I just look forward to his leadership, like not only in our state, but like to the school counseling profession across the entire country. So, hey, Brian, how are you doing?
I mean, after that, I'm great. I feel so special. I feel so seen. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So, can you tell everybody just a little bit about who you are, man? I mean, most of us know you, but can you tell us about who you are?
Sure. I mean, I am a high school counselor and counseling department chair at a high school in Chicago Public Schools, Jones College Prep. I do a lot of, I mean, I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm a first generation student. I've been a counselor for about 8 years. A few years ago, I was named the National School Counselor of the Year by the American School Counselor Association after winning here at the state level in Illinois. I also was a HRC Upstander of the Year in 2019, which was really lovely. I adjunct at DePaul University, teaching in the counselor prep program that I graduated from, which is super lovely. I have a background in theater prior to school counseling, theater and higher education, alumni relations and development prior to school counseling. I've got my clinical licensure as well. I'm really passionate about equity and inclusion work in our schools. My specialty areas right now, what I focus on at school, tend to be around LGBTQAI related supports, comprehensive sexual health education, and peer mentorship and transition work in and out of high school. And that's
You
some of the
were
fun stuff.
That's some of the fun stuff. You were a professor too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
at
yeah.
DePaul. Yeah.
Like, yeah, man. So like you're in the DePaul crew too, man. Like I know a lot of you guys
Yep.
up there doing a lot of great things. Like,
Blue Demons.
no,
Nobody says it like that. That's just
like
I just did that.
it's just your thing. That's just kind of how you do
Yes.
it. So Brian, like you do all of this incredible work all the time. You're always on go. Like you're always prepared. You're always doing all this wonderful stuff. What are some of the things that motivate you? What are your whys?
Wow. Let me think. I mean, I am really driven to be the change I wish to see in the world. Like, not in a cheesy way, in a very real way. Like, when I began working, after, college, I started working in alumni relations development. And I was like, I don't feel like I'm making an impact. I don't feel like I'm making a substantive difference. And then, I started doing theater projects in high schools, and I was able to get into high schools around LGBTQA related youth homelessness plays, and all of this, which was really powerful. And I was like, wow, I'm able to impact students. I'm seeing them make connections and really think about their own identities and reflecting on their own development. Well, when I leave, who gets to be in the schools and continue to do this work with these students? Well, school counselors do. And I'm like, well, I need to get a master's in that. I mean, I need to be able to engage, because I know for me in my development, education has been so incredibly important, has really opened doors that I didn't even know existed at the time, created ways out of no way, created opportunities that have literally completely changed my life. So being a part of that process for youth, helping educators and my fellow colleagues and counselors locally, but also around the country, that is, it fills me with more joy and happiness and purpose than I ever could have imagined. And it gives to me as much as I feel I give to it. And it's really mutually beneficial in that way.
Yeah, I mean, like one of the things that I've noticed about you, like you're always sharing, like you're always making sure that there's space for other people, like to have a voice at the table. Like it's one of the things that you constantly check on. Like I mean, like you're awesome, like and people notice it, but like secretly, like behind the scenes, you're making sure that everybody's included. Like, has this always been something that's been important to you? Like, why does it always like resonate with you? Like, you always look to see who's not speaking at the table, and and how do we leverage them?
Yeah, it's an interesting question that just gave me goosebumps. I think because I know what it feels like to not be heard or seen, affirmed or validated, right? I'm a Black cisgender gay man from a poor background, grew up in the middle of Indiana, right? And I remember what it feels like to not have a seat at the table. I remember when I had to make my own table. I remember what all of that feels like. And through my experience of marginalization, I've come to really appreciate how important it is for everyone to feel included, to everyone to feel like they have a voice. And through my background in theater and get like learning how to like navigate space and how to communicate different feelings and thoughts and perspectives and all these pieces, communication has become really important to me. So communication and inclusion are areas that are really, really, really important to me. So I'm always thinking about, when it comes to communication, what voices am I hearing? Like, how often am I hearing my own voice?
Right.
And what voices are we missing? And I really believe that everyone, I mean, I'm all about that unicorn life. My
Right.
whole unicorn bit is around that we all have something to give. Well, how do we create opportunities for those individual strengths and perspectives to come to the table in a meaningful way that we all can benefit from? That's really important to me.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely tell that. Like, just going back to, like the beginning of your career when you didn't feel hurt, like, how did you grow into this unicorn that you are today? Like, what was your story of growth?
Yeah, well, I feel like for me, I mean, I always talk about when I interviewed for my job. I realized, like, they asked me like, why you, why should we choose you? And I was like, because I'm a unicorn. And I was like, what does that mean? But I went on to explain that, my diverse skills, interests, and perspectives made me a unique candidate for the role that I didn't think they would see again. I meant that then, and I mean that now, because I do think it's true. I think part of what's really propelled my growth was when I stopped trying to be like anybody else, when I stepped out of the external expectation and stepped into my purpose, my why, the difference that I wanted to make, and what I brought to the table to make that happen. Like, I didn't just become a school counselor. I tried a few different things before I got to school counseling, because it took me some time to really find the best convergence of my skills and interests, right? And what I wanted to do, right? And what change I wanted to make or see in the world, in the space. And really, it's about finding people who affirm you and validate you, who gas you up. Like Terrell, you always give great gas. You've always been so extremely supportive in this conversation, and always, you're always like, yeah, you know what, you like, are you interested in getting involved? I think you're doing such amazing work. I'm really inspired by you. That feedback has always been really helpful. So having people in your life that affirm you and validate, can see in you the good, the wonderful, ideally that you can see in yourself, and can create opportunities to help you leverage it. I mean, the executive director of the Illinois School Counseling Association, Dr. Vince Walshrock, my mentor. I've been working with him for what now, 7, 8, 9 years, right? And he's always been really affirming of my work, really supportive of like me growing and learning as a counselor and finding opportunities to engage. And I feel that we all need those people. We need those cheerleaders. We need those mentors. We need those like sounding boards that can give us some really helpful feedback, both positive and sometimes, critical, of like, hey, here are some areas and opportunities for you to grow, and here are the opportunities for you to do that. That's really helped me grow.
You were great, man, and giving me feedback. I'm not gonna lie, man, because I've been growing a lot, man. Just being around you, man. Like, I love it. Like I always tell you, man, I'm a person that can take criticism, man. Like, please tell me, like we were just talking about earlier. Like, let me know if I'm doing something wrong, so I could do better. Like, I think like my life, like in my career, like it's been about growing towards being like this better form of myself, like that could ultimately serve other people better.
I agree. I think we're all growing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as Michelle Obama would say, becoming. Like, we're all becoming, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that, and I believe that we are responsible for that growth in ourselves, but we're also responsible for helping and supporting and bringing up those around us, like that we're invested in, that we want to see growth. That, like, we got to let them know, right? And give them those tools and resources, that feedback, and the opportunities. Like, all of those pieces need to come together. But I do think that piece of mutual support is so incredibly important. It's like, if the whole unicorn bit was just about me being special at the expense of everybody else, it wouldn't go very far. It wouldn't really mean a whole lot, right? But it's about like, how do we see that in each other, draw that out in each other, and how do we as a community leverage that in meaningful ways?
Yeah, come together and lift each other up. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so like there's all of these like great people like Dr. Vince Walshrock, like in your life, and just a ton of other great people like Laura and everybody else.
Laura Ross.
Yeah, Laura Ross. Yep. Gotta shout her out, man. Gotta make sure we
right, butterfly.
The buttercorn connection.
Yes.
Yeah. Was there anyone that encouraged you like to become like a leader, like a school council leader or a leader just in general? Like anyone in your life that kind of pushed you?
Yeah, I mean, going back, all the way back, like my mom was always, I'm my mom's youngest child. She called me her Prince of Peace. Like she always really believed that I was wise beyond my years, and I had a voice and perspective that was really important. I mean, my fifth grade teacher, Miss Walden, like as a young Black boy, she was, my first Black teacher, and she said, "I see something in you, and you have something to give in this world." And she really gave me opportunities to grow and learn and build confidence in myself as a child that was historically bullied, right? And then, my teacher in seventh grade that gave me the opportunity to act, and even when it was an obstacle, and my mom wasn't super supportive in the beginning, she really pushed it. And once I found my voice on the stage and performance. And then when I got to college, and my theater teacher really supported me and was like a second mom to me, and really helped me sometimes when I didn't even have money, right? She helped me and really made sure I was able to make it through college, but also really encouraged me to grow and develop myself as a leader and performer and communicator, really primarily as a communicator. And then when I got into DePaul and my master's program, and I had all of these wonderful professors, particularly Melissa Ackerman, who was so wonderful and so encouraging and really has inspired me to really believe that school counselors can change the world. She's always said counselors can change the world, and I absolutely believe that. And she really believed. And then I met Vince and a former professor at DePaul and Friesma. They were my clinical supervisors when I was getting my LCPC, and they believed in me, believed in my perspective, and that I had something. It's about belief. When people believe that you have something to give, and you believe that in yourself, that convergence and opportunities to really put it in action, it's so incredibly powerful. And I think I talk a lot about Vince in particular. My counselor leadership, I would not be a counselor leader if not for him. He is the one, 4 years ago, that called me on a Saturday while I'm sitting in my pajamas, right, chilling, yo, there's this award at the state level that I'm gonna nominate you for. Can I do that? Are you comfortable? And I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about, but sure. A few months later, I won High School Counselor of the Year, Illinois School Counselor of the Year. A few months after that, I won National School Counselor of the Year, forever changing my life. Wow. So he really shine such a bright light on my work. And I thought, yeah, I'm a good counselor, but I didn't even have a scale or scope for what that meant. I didn't know what other people were up to. I didn't know what was happening at the national level. And he was like, there's an opportunity I see for you. He saw something for me that I didn't even see for myself. That completely changed my journey, and it's completely given me a new perspective on what each of us has, the power in our experience, the power in our skill sets that we sometimes undervalue, but have the potential to really impact people near and far in so many wonderful ways. I'm just a lucky person who's had the opportunity to do that in ways that maybe other people have not yet had or have not seen themselves doing.
Right, and so I was just kind of envisioning, in my head, I'm kind of crazy, right? So I just kind of
let's reframe crazy, eccentric, creative.
Yeah, so I was kind of thinking of all of these people just believing in you, and it's sort of wind going into your sails and just pushing you up. In my head, I was man, you just have such a great push, everybody just pushing you forward. And I that's one of the things that I kind of noticed with some of the other people that I talk to too. We all have people behind us. It's not we're doing this alone, or we're just. It never really works that way, because it's not really about us. It's not I don't know. It's just never maybe there's somebody. But there's not a lot of just self-created. I'm just doing this.
It's a two-way. It's a two-way thing. It's the people that have pushed and really poured into me. I feel that that's been a mutual experience.
Absolutely.
It's right. You have what are you willing to because again, my whole drive is around making impact, right? A substantive impact. It's what do you have to give, and how are you prepared to give it? And I feel I love people, and I love supporting people and helping people in whatever ways that I can, and giving to others makes me feel so wonderful, right? Yes. And I'm just so blessed to be in touch with and have been touched by so many people who have a similar perspective, giving of themselves, sharing their talents and their skills and their opportunities and resources. That's been so wonderful. There are a lot of hate. I'm not gonna play there aren't haters, right? There aren't institutional and systemic barriers that have created problems over the years, but at the same time, there have been so many people who have gone out of their way to create opportunities for me and to show up for me. And I hope that through my lived experience, I paid it forward in every way that I
you pay it
can.
forward all the time. Like
because
all the time.
but that's important, because I think we all need to be aware of like what are those supports and resources that we receive that really have changed us and made our lives better, and how can we take those resources and opportunities and then pay it forward for others, so that they can also learn and grow in similar ways. I think that's so incredibly important.
Yep. So like people are pouring in our cups, and we're constantly pouring in other people's cups. Like
Absolutely.
just keep pouring.
Just keep pouring. There's always more. There's always more. Keep pouring, right?
Just keep pouring.
Absolutely.
So that's really interesting. So in education, right? There's a lot of different things going on, right?
Yeah.
And then if there was just one thing you could just snap your fingers and just change forever in education, what would it be?
One thing. I mean, I'm thinking about a lot of different things. I think for me in this stage right now, in this moment, I would say equitable access to education for all students. And that schools, I mean, I think in terms of CPS for sure, but like if schools were equitably funded,
yes,
equitable funding for our schools around the country in a way that improves the staffing, because when staffing, it improves the training for staff, the resources for staff, the resources, and like a well-trained, staffed, resourced, well-trained and resourced staff brings about support and resources for students, right? And if our schools are well funded, that feeds the communities in which these schools exist. So I think it's really primarily it's the money. Where the money at, right? If I can snap one thing, it's like why are our schools so woefully underfunded? Like if I could snap one thing, give schools the money that they deserve to support our students and to support our communities in equitable ways.
Absolutely. That's a really great one. As always, Brian.
At the end of the day,
that's a really good one.
Where the money at?
Where's the money? Like we need the money. Like seriously.
Right.
Yeah. So you're always doing great things. You just got done speaking in Minnesota, right? So like what's next for you? Like what do you have coming up next?
Yeah, let's see what is next for me. In a few weeks, I'll be speaking to the Indiana Youth Institute. I worked with him in the past. Like actually, me and Laura Ross, SCOY 2020 2020 Buttercorns, right? We'll be speaking together, and then I'll be speaking separately. And then going into 2022, I've got some keynotes popping up. I'll be keynoting for Georgia. I'll be keynoting for Oregon as well. And then it's like whatever else comes up, I'll probably be teaching again at DePaul, and continuing to engage with the Illinois School Counselor Association as a member of the board, for which you are the president. And I'm so excited. I'm so incredibly excited with the direction that ISCA has been heading and is currently heading under your leadership, and where we will continue to go. And I'm always excited to engage more deeply in that. And I've been giving more thought to potentially engaging in writing, starting to write about I mean, we all see. Yeah, we
need a book. We need some articles.
Right. We'll see. But I think I'm now getting to a point that of believing, I mean, I'm sure you feel this way, and a lot of people listening might feel this way as well, like the imposter syndrome. It's like it doesn't go away, and being able, but luckily, one of the greatest ways to cope with imposter syndrome is to bring yourself into contact with people that are doing wonderful things, that have great energy, and that believe in you and support you as well. You being one of those people for me. And I see you out here, I mean, you writing, you publishing, and you're doing all these wonderful things. You have your podcast, which is so incredible. It's like, you know what, I'm starting to believe in myself more, that those are things that I can do, and that there might be a market for things like that.
So market for you.
So we'll see.
For you in podcasts, and a market for you in whatever you want to do.
There's only so much time in the day, right? We gotta pick and choose.
Whenever.
Right, you already blowing this up. You blowing this up.
I'm telling you, whenever. I mean, you can do it all. Seriously.
No.
So I want to read the articles. I want to know more. You have an incredible story. Seriously.
Stop that. You're so sweet. You're just so sweet, right? That's that good counselor affirmation and validation, right? You got that. You got that in spades and spades.
It's the truth. So we all want to follow you. You know, so like, where can we follow you on social media?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for me, you can definitely find me on Instagram and Twitter under at Mr. Brian Coleman, right? My Facebook tend to be more about my business, right?
Right,
But
right,
my
right.
social media, my
Social,
Twitter,
other
like,
social media you can get to, like same here.
right,
You're not gonna follow me on Facebook unless I like you for real.
right, that's real. That's the real, like, that is the true test. Like, if
Yeah,
I
like
let you
for
up
real.
in
If you're
that
not my Facebook
Facebook,
friend, then this is just business.
right? We still, if you're not my Facebook friend, we still have an opportunity to deepen our
That's
connection.
right. But we're
That's
not
right.
there yet. We're
But
not
we ain't there
there
yet.
yet.
But we're working
Yes.
toward that,
Right,
right?
working
Growth
towards it.
mindset.
That's
Growth
right.
mindset.
Right. So the last thing, so like, all right, so if you were talking to, say, like a 22-year-old Brian, like, what would you tell him your keys to success are?
Oh my goodness. Um, I would say that it is perfectly okay. It's better than okay to march the beat of your own drum. That you have so much to give if you pause and listen to that voice, your voice, right? That there's some wonderful, amazing things are going to happen, but they're going to happen when you start truly engaging and investing in you and what makes you special and the difference you wish, the positive difference you wish to make in the world. When you can really hone in on that, man, can't stop you, buddy. Can't stop you,
Can't
right?
stop
But
you.
make believing in yourself and investing in your wellness an intentional, consistent practice, as much as working out, as much as exploring theater, as much as playing video games, as much as anything you do, believing and investing in yourself and your wellness. Oh my God, it's going to pay off in so many wonderful ways. But that starts with you, starts and ends with you.
So true, so true. I mean, the thing is, like, honestly, like, we don't want to keep hearing the same beat over and over again. Like, we got to get different drums, like, out in the leadership, like, you know, in leadership, like, out in front, like, whether it's in ASCA and education in general, like, we need more voices.
We need more
beats, more
voices, but
rhythm.
it's like if this quote like always comes back to me. It's like if everybody agrees, then there are people that ain't needed,
Right,
right? If we're all saying the same thing, then what are we all here for? Like
right.
we've all lived our lives by ourselves in our own bodies and spaces for several years. Like through your experience, through your wins, through your failures, through the opportunities, through everything that you've learned and experienced, your identities, your communities, you have a vantage point that is only yours.
Only yours.
Only yours,
Yeah.
right? Now, the world may have taught you or told you that it doesn't matter or it's not important, right? But that is not true. Like that is yours. And you can leverage that in so many really powerful ways when you start listening to your own voice, right?
Yeah.
And believing in yourself. And nobody can make you do that. I tell my students this all the time. Like when it comes to self-care and holistic wellness, like I can give you tools and strategies and like help you make this a habitual practice. But like at the end of the day, when you grown,
You grown.
right? And if you're not going to do it, ain't nobody else going to do it for you. To everyone listening and watching, if you don't believe in you, right? What reason does anyone else have to? Right? If you can't invest and love your like RuPaul, I love me some RuPaul's Drag Race. RuPaul like says that all the time. If you can't love this yourself, how the hell are you gonna love anybody else, right?
Right.
If you can't do that, if you can't model that, then why would we have these expectations for our students, for each other, for our communities? It has to begin with us. I really believe that.
Man, heavy stuff. Heavy stuff. So Brian,
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough, like, for coming on the show. Like, dude, like this, I mean, I'm not gonna say you guys or anything. Like everyone.
Okay, so what y'all don't know is that I read Terrell on a regular basis
All
where
the
instead of
time.
saying
All the
you
time.
all,
Yeah.
he says you guys. It's like,
Yeah.
but in the spaces where I often hear him say it, the
It's
majority
like
of
all
folks there,
women.
that's right.
And I'm calling them
That's
all
right.
dudes.
So we're working on it, right? You all,
all.
y'all,
Yes.
folks, like,
Yes.
and Terrell is working on it, actively working on it. We are
Yeah.
all learning and growing each and
I
every
caught
day.
myself. I'm gonna say it. Everyone, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel because because I'm growing over here and I want you guys to grow with me. Like this is a journey that we can all go through together. So please, everyone, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And till next time, peace.